what's going on. This is my first live video, and so you guys bear with me. I just wanted to talk to you today about landing more fish. It's summertime. It has been ridiculously hot here in Texas where I'm at. And so it's been a struggle, number one, to stay out late enough to get to the point that the fish are biting. And then number two, a lot of times in the summer when the fish are lethargic, they'll do what I call a short strike, where they hit your lure, but not with the gusto that they would other times of the year. So you really, when you hook up with a fish, you have to make it count. And there is nothing more heartbreaking, in my opinion, than hooking up with a fish after waiting all day and then losing the fish. And that happened to me a couple of nights ago, and it really got me thinking. And in my opinion, what a successful landing of a fish boils down to is three things. I call them the three S's. Size is in hook size, sharpness of the hook, and then setting the hook. Those are the big three, in my opinion. With regard to size, keep in mind something. Bass have huge mouths. We call them largemouth bass for a reason. Largemouth bass, even a small bass, when they open that mouth, that bucket mouth, it's going to be 2 or 3 times their body size. That's why you have bass that will eat something about half the length of their body. Okay, so especially if you're new to bass fishing and you're more kind of used to trout or catfish or something where what you see is what you get in terms of the size of the mouth, that doesn't work with bass fishing, because if your hook is too small, what'll happen when they open their big old bucket mouth is it's easier for them to grab a hold of your lure without getting the hook, and it's easier for them to spit it. So step one, if you're losing lots of fish, look at your hook size. Go up at least one, maybe two hook sizes. That's step one, okay? Now let's talk about sharpness. And I am not going to sit here and tell you to go spend a fortune on sharper hooks. That's not my philosophy when it comes to fishing. If you want to do that, that's fine. Certainly a sharper hook doesn't hurt anything. But I'm talking about more along the lines of how dull is your hook point? If you have hauled in a brick, or the other day I hauled in a small boat anchor, cattails, if you've hauled a bunch of stuff in, and particularly if you've had to bend the tip of that hook on that jig back into place a time or two, inevitably the tip of that hook is no longer as sharp. So what you need to do is think about taking the time, that extra 5 minutes, to put yourself on a fresh jig. Does it cost money? Sure. Does it cost time? Yup. But not near as much time as you're going to spend thinking about that fish you lost, I promise you. Okay? Last but by no means least, hook sets. So important. So important. Hook sets are free. We've all heard that expression. It could not possibly be more true. Particularly with bass, a bass can run up to 28 miles an hour. Can swim, I should say. Bass can swim up to 28 miles an hour. And they will absolutely unload every bit of energy they have on you the second they're hooked and realize that they're in trouble. Okay? So, what you want to do, I'm going to say, is you don't want to just set the hook once. You want to set it multiple times. Now obviously not when they're taking drag. You don't want to break the line. But the second that there's a little lull in the drag, set it again. Set it one more time after that. You just keep rearing up at the right times until you're sure that hook is buried in that bass's mouth, particularly if it's a bass that's taking drag. Because at some point, that bass is going to swim up, break water, and try to throw it. It's going to do one of these, right? You want to have the hook set. And sometimes because of the bass's mouth is cartilage, pure cartilage. It's hard stuff. You want to know that hook's not going anywhere. So, in order to land more fish, we're just talking about the 3 S's: size, sharpness, set. If you will do those things and be intentional, you will land more fish. After 2 nights ago, I told you I lost a fish, was heartbroken. I'd worked so hard all day, it was a good fish. Last night, caught 2 really nice fish. So I went from a 0% to 100% hookup ratio, and I was very intentional. Fish started taking drag screaming the second they let up. I'd already set the hook once. I did it again. And we're talking about a hard hook set up and over your shoulder. So hopefully this will help you catch more fish. God bless you guys. Thank y'all so much for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you will spread the word around about Zach Mack Fishing. Y'all take care.